Hey everybody, got another video here for you. So for these machine neck screws on a thin body like this, size I'm using is an M6, and I had to grind it from 35 down to 30, so the size you'd want would be an M6 by 30. And then the inserts are M6 by 10, so they're 10 millimeters deep. And on a traditional build, you'd probably want to step up to like a M6 by 15 deep for a full thickness heel, and then you'd be using an M6 by whatever based on the thickness of both your heel and your traditional body. So, which would probably work out to be, I don't know, a 40 or something at least, maybe a 45 or so. So here's a little trick for you, I guess you'd call it. When I'm doing this swing bar assembly procedure, and in general putting together this guitar, basically I'm only dealing with two sizes of holes. I'm dealing with metric screws, metric machine screws, and I'm dealing with the inserts for them. And so I've just got the bits for that, plus a small bit for drilling the pilots. In order to keep them handy and keep them from getting lost or falling and disappearing and all the mess around here, I just tape them to the top of the drill bit, to the drill press. And that way, you know, when I'm doing a bit change, I don't have to fish around, I don't have to, you know, go over the bench or whatever, or keep putting them in the index and taking them back out again. Everything I need for at least this portion of the build, everything except for the one screw that holds on the extension bar, is right here. And see, I end up having to drill 7 of these and 7 of these, and some of them require pilots as well. And it's not like I can just mark them all out and do all 7 at once. It's like I mark one and do one, and then from that I can figure out where the next one goes, kind of a thing. So yeah, this is a good way to keep things straight, because I'm going to keep using these bits over and over again throughout the build. So I'm skipping the part where I like take this thing apart and put it back together after drilling every single hole. But yeah, I'm all done pretty much. I was just checking out the fit here. Everything looks good except for the strap position. Alignment's a little bit off. The hole needs to be a little bit wider in that direction. But I bought a special tool just for this kind of situation. And this is the special tool right here. It's little baby miniature rasps. Yeah, they actually have rasp teeth on them. And this is the round rasp. It's about, maybe 3 or 4 mil in diameter, something like that. It's very small. It'll be perfect for reaming out this hole a little bit, just in that direction. And there it is, strap position. This guitar, because this is so narrow and this is so close to the neck, I actually had to go 20 degrees to provide adequate access to the upper frets. But that's okay. It's not going to make a major difference as to the way the guitar hangs when you're standing. Yeah, sway bar is all done. All 4 positions are all lined up and working correctly. And now I can figure out, I wanted to do this first because I've been puzzling over how to do the piezo. And see, now I've got all the sway bar in, and if you look right here, that's the saddle line, right across there, basically, where that mark is. And I'm thinking one idea is doing a disc piezo, which is recessed into the body, and then the bridge block goes on top of that, and then the barrel tuners go on top of the bridge block, and the wires for the piezo go down through a hole and come out the back here, so that I don't have to route them around the side. That's why I wanted to get the swing bar on first, was to figure out if I wanted to route the piezo wires through the body instead of down this way, kind of a thing, where exactly the swing bar was going to be, and whether that would be possible, or whether it would have ended up in here somewhere, and then the swing bar would have been in the way. So now, yeah, that's clear if I want to do that. And if a disc doesn't work out, another possibility is routing a very narrow channel and putting a bar piezo in there. So yeah, but I'm still working on, I haven't figured out exactly what to do on that. The screws for the barrel tuners are actually so long, it looks like they're going to go all the way through the bridge block and into the body itself, which means that routing a channel that runs between the screws and using the bar piezo might be the way to go. So, wait and see. So I've been playing the hardware game here. This is one aspect of builds that nobody shows you. You know, I've never made you sit through even fast forward footage of me, you know, spending hours online looking for thumb screws or something like that. Yeah, this is another one of the sets of thumb screws that came in. These were 10 millimeter. They're rather tall, but they have nice big fat knobs on them. Downside is they're aluminum, so they're probably not going to be strong enough long term. They're just kind of on there temporarily until something better shows up in a steel. Over here, oh wait, more at this end. The little lock grub screws for these guys were just barely in there, and 2 of them fell out. 3 of them fell out. I found one, and I haven't found the others. More parts are on the way. Down at this end, I've been figuring out the bridge block and the piezo situation now that I've got my swing bar situation under control and figured out. And very first thing is, sorry I keep moving the camera on you, but so these are the screws that come with the barrel tuners, and they're so long they're going to go all the way through the block, and then a third of them, the bottom tip is going to stick down into the body, and that would pretty much preclude the use of a disc piezo down here if I had a whole bunch of screws sticking down through here. So And also in general, I was hoping that I could glue this on and then screw the barrels onto it. And so I went fishing and I came up with, oh, also 4 of these are missing out of the kit. Straight out of the, that's the way it came from the factory, with missing some hardware, apparently. But I went fishing and I found some shorter screws that are just long enough to get down to the bottom of the block. And these things, the top half of them pretty much isn't even threaded, so these screws actually have almost as much thread for gripping as these things do. So that's good news. And so that means that I can use these shorter screws with these barrels, go into the block, have pretty much the same amount of gripping power as I'd get with the longer screws, and I'll have room to put a disc piezo here. And I'm thinking just run the wires out the back and put a ground wire on the back screw of the #1 barrel. The barrels will go about like that, and then these guys, when they're fully up, go right about like that. Because there's the saddle line, and there's the saddle. So yeah, that much of it's going to stick out over the edge of the saddle line, and the block, like that kind of thing. So so the plan is to put a ground wire on this screw and also run it back there. And then that'll ground #1 string, which grounds all the way up here to the nut and gets the other 5 strings. I'm not sure how they would do it on the barrel tuners. I guess they probably have to put a strip of foil underneath all 6 and then ground like #1 or whatever, and then the foil gets the rest of them. Because you're not really guaranteed that these guys are going to touch and connect and ground all 6 strings otherwise, I wouldn't think. So now I have to go fish for a piezo. Looks like it's not deep enough. So that solder joint right there, apparently. Gonna have to try again. Drill it deeper. Pop this out. Drill it deeper. Paint it all again. And then glue this back in. And hopefully it'll be deep enough that I can put on more glue. cover it with a bit of cigarette paper cut to size, and then slap that on over top. Let the glue dry, and that'll give me a nice molded fit between the block and between the bridge block and the body. And this thing will be suspended in glue, basically. Okay, all back where I was before. Popped it off, drilled it down a little bit more, painted it up again, put some glue in, put the piezo back in, check clearance. Clearance is good. Get out of the way, wires. There we go. Clearance is good. Yeah, we're sitting nice and flat, no rocking. So, it's time to slap some glue on the top side. Put a little piece of paper over it so that the glue doesn't stick to the bridge, and then go plop and mold it in there. That's the idea right there. Get over there, wire. Alright. Let that cool. I think that should be good. I'll leave that paper in there when I put it together. Well, acoustically, it's done. All it needs is strings. On the barrel tuners here, spacing is really pretty critical. I had to re-drill a couple of the holes in order to get everything all nice and square and straight. I'm thinking that the best approach would be, what I did is I just laid out all the holes and drilled them all and hoped I was straight enough. And I was not bad, but a couple were not quite perfect. Probably a better approach would be strike a center line, install the first unit, and then from there you put down the second unit. Install the first unit to the right side of the center line, let's say. Put in the number 3 string tuner. And then put the number 4 next to it, mark out where those holes should be, and then drill and install that one, and then do it that way, using the ones that you've already installed in order to mark out and install the next one in the row. And that way you should probably end up with good spacing with less misdrills, I would imagine. So, or if you can ever, get a sufficiently accurate template, drilling template, you could always take that approach. They also make a version where all these mount on a single base plate, similar to the type where they all mount onto what's essentially a Fender Strat bridge whammy trim. So I guess the next step for this thing is going to be electronics, which means this is probably a good place to end this episode. So until the next one, everybody, have a good one.